So when I woke up this morning, I had an interesting comment from someone named PD Corliss on one of my videos. I'm gonna read it to you now. They, they say, you have a video that predates this one explaining the differences between HEIF Max and Pro Max. If you're clicking on this one, you may or may not have seen those other two. I have a video explaining the HEIF Max, Pro Max stuff, and then I have a video about the JPEG XL stuff. So they say I have a video about this, the HEIF stuff, and I conclude that HEIF holy Max and Pro Max are so similar that you don't need Pro Max. Yes, I did conclude that. And then they ask, has the addition of JPEG XL Lossy and Lossless changed your conclusion? And then they say I'm a serious amateur with no pro publishing ambitions. Will HEIF Max still give me a file with plenty of detail at a smaller file size? I thought that question was interesting, so I did a bit more research to refresh myself in all the pieces to all the formats this morning, just to make sure all of the information that I'm about to speak about now was, or still is, or will be still accurate. For me, it's important to base my opinion off of accurate information. So my answer to the first part of your question, PD Corliss, is no, HEIF Max, in my mind, is still the best one, or the best format, or the best container, I guess, to shoot in. And here's why. So keep in mind that what I'm about to say is accurate information. However, the reason I choose HEIF Max is personal preference based on how HEIF Max works. So here's the thing, and I'm gonna try and answer the second part of the question as well at the same time. I too would, I guess, classify myself weirdly, kind of the way you put it, as like a serious amateur. So I really enjoy taking photos, but I never really do much with them. I don't sell them. I don't even really post them that much on social media. I just like to take them and then have them. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the off chance that in the future I will want a photo of something that I've taken. Now, the real competitor to HEIF Max is not actually JPEGXL Lossless, but more kinda like JPEGXL Lossy. So XL Lossy is the more compressed version of a photo compared to lossless. Obviously, you're lossless, that's lossless. You know what that means. But at the same time, being more compressed comes at a cost. You lose detail, and it's quite interesting actually the way that XL Lossy drops the detail, but that's totally another conversation. Anyway, so we're basically talking about, would we use HEIF Max or JPEGXL Lossy? Those are really the only ones that are in the conversation here. Now, as far as I'm aware, there is a big difference when it comes to using HEIF Max versus JPEGXL Lossy on the iPhone. We're talking about using it on the iPhone here, not in some other scenario, but taking the photos on the iPhone, right? Just make that clear. The big difference is when you take a photo in HEIF Max, the iPhone will actually conduct all its post-processing effects that it does on photos in general, and then the result is actually a high quality, taken with the 48 megapixel sensor photo that is processed and compressed. So you have the processed effect and look and HDR of how the iPhone does HDR in the HEIF file, and it is small. It is very small. For all the data that's in there, it's very small. But when you're taking photos with JPEGXL Lossy, the end result doesn't contain any post-processing effects or HDR effects through the pipeline of the iPhone photo process, or whatever it is, however it works. So it gets kind of interesting here because they're kind of very different. Like, you can look at them in different ways. So if you're looking for something that is quote unquote more natural looking, but still a small file size, then perhaps you can look at taking photos in JPEGXL Lossy. If you're looking for something that looks nice, in my opinion, straight out of the camera without having to edit it and having the edits all done for you by the iPhone, and then having a final product straight away as high quality as possible with the 48 megapixels, and then shrunk down to potentially or probably even smaller than the JPEG XL Lossy size, or at least very small for the amount of data that it does have, then you should be looking at taking photos in HEIF Max. And I think one of the other interesting things you have to look at is if you did want to go for JPEG XL Lossy, but you wanted the look of the HEIF Max, like, well, let's not say HEIF Max look, but let's say the HDR processed look on the XL Lossy, what you would have to do is edit it. Like, it would obviously have to be edited. But the thing about editing XL Lossy photos is that a lot of the data from the original photo is actually deleted. So editing those, I believe, just thinking logically based on the information that I have about it, wouldn't come out as nice as if you edited an HEIF Max photo. Then again, I personally am not even touching or editing any of my HEIF Max photos because I feel that I don't need to. Like, generally, I don't. But then thinking about taking a photo on JPEG XL Lossy, for me, I'm starting to worry, or not worry, just get concerned that if I did need to edit, then I think it would go better overall on the HEIF Max photo rather than the Lossy photo, because HEIF Max already, in my opinion, has a nice look to it. And if I just want to tweak some things, then great, I just have to tweak a little bit, like the warmth, for example, or whatever, the white balance. But if I'm looking at the JPEG XL Lossy photo, and I want that HEIF Max HDR look, which, by the way, the XL Lossy does save the HDR information, it just doesn't necessarily display it in the way that HEIF Max does because it goes through the iPhone pipeline. This is, as far as I'm aware, this is the information that I have. So apologies for anyone who might want to challenge me, like the person on one of my other videos who, by the way, I stand by my information for that stuff. But I'm just making a disclaimer here that I don't know everything. I'm not a full-on, like, format guru. So what I can tell you is based on my research, and I can say that I am good at research. Right now, today, I don't use my bachelor degree, but I always hope that it would mean something. So there's a lot of research that goes into completing a bachelor's degree. Maybe that can lend me some weight for my words here, where I can say that I'm actually good at research and I can understand research. So yeah, my information just comes from research. It's not like I'm born knowing this stuff. And I don't know everything, I'm not saying that I do, but I try to talk about stuff that I do understand. But anyway, I really digressed from what I was saying before. I think I was on the topic of HDR with JPEG XL Lossy. So that can and does save HDR information, and in some cases, JPEG XL Lossy will actually save more information than HEIF Max. Not every time, but sometimes it can. But the thing is that information might not be valuable if you can't edit it to the way that you want it, because it's already deleting so much of the photograph just to compress it down. So basically what I'm getting at is that to even get near the look of HEIF Max, there have to be a lot of editing to be done on the JPEG XL Lossy photo. And it probably, in my opinion, or my educated opinion, it won't come out or turn out well when you do that. Not nearly as well as if you just took a JPEG XL lossless photo and then edited it? Yes, that's right, to your liking. So just, if you want something that isn't going through the iPhone pipeline, then your best bet is to just go JPEG XL lossless, because you're going to want to edit it and fix it later to the way that you like it, or if you just like the natural look Lossy probably works for you. Natural, I don't know how natural it looks, but it's more natural than HEIF Max. As far as I'm aware, that's how it works. But if you are happy and you like the processed look like I do, I'm happy with how it displays HDR in particular. I really like that. And HEIF and HEVC, or H.265 I should say, which is a step up from H.264 if you're aware of like codecs and stuff like that. H.265 is actually designed for HDR content. So that's why, or maybe that's why, it looks so nice to me when it takes and goes through the pipeline with the HDR photo. So that's my 2 cents on what is better, and it's really subjective, I would say. I can't really say one way is better than the other, but if you're just not wanting to edit stuff like me, but you really like taking photos and you're using your iPhone for this, and I do it with my camera too, because I try to get the best photo without having to edit it, because I'm not as into editing photos as the next person. I don't know. So if you want that type of thing, go with HEIF Max. It's still a super small file, saves a ton of data, still takes photos with the 48 megapixel sensor, and then you don't need to worry about anything. If you need to edit stuff, or if you want a different look, then don't use it. Use Lossy. Thank you so much, PD Corliss, for your question. That was a very interesting question, and I was really happy to make this video and discuss it. I hope I answered your question, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.